Hi, it's Megan. I have vowed in 2016 to do more get ready with me or tutorial videos on makeup looks, just because, I don't know, 2015 was very tumultuous, kind of crazy for me, and I don't know, I wasn't doing enough eyeshadow. So there's one I've been wanting to do for a super long time, which is red eyeshadow, and then I've been playing around with reds and berries and that kind of whole grouping. And so I decided that one of them, I'm going to do a couple, but one of the ones I wanted to do was red and purple. Now that might sound totally crazy, but I actually really like it. So there are a couple things before I start. So first of all, you can see I'm starting with foundation on, and I've got blush, and I've got a little bit of contour, which I always do, just like a little bronzer to even out my skin tone, which, since I'm in the sun a lot, living in warm weather, can be lighter here. And I've got lip color on. So the whole berry, red, purple, pink family, and this I kind of view as a little cooler toned than the other kind of the reddish things. And by reddish, I mean red undertones. So those terracottas, those, you know, I don't know, Adobe, all the warmer versions of it. Red can kind of veer warm or cool. When I'm mixing it with purple, it tends to look a little bit cooler toned on me. And so one of the big things I've done with my face is start with kind of the color family and the textures that I want. So I'm going to be mixing some shimmery eyeshadows together. And so I'm trying to cut down, and it's a bold eye look. So I'm trying to cut down on a lot of the color in my face. So since I'm going to have the red and the purple, I have on my cheeks as a blush, I have the Dolce & Gabbana Cashmere bronzer, which is a bronzer that leans a little bit kind of warm, sun-kissed pink on me, if that makes sense. So it works as well on me, maybe better as a blush than it does as a bronzer. And then I have a little bit of the Becca Opal pressed highlighter, just pressed here, pressed here, pressed here. And so I've got like a matte foundation, I've got a matte powder, the Besame Violet, and then I've got just a tiny, barely there shimmer and barely there color on my cheeks. And it's probably a little darker than, I'll lighten it just so it shows up better on camera. And then on my lips, I have the Anastasia Pure Hollywood liquid lipstick, which is going to be one of those yay or nay videos coming up, and I think you can tell if I like it if I'm using it in a video. But this is, they say, a mauve nude, but if you look, it looks more like a pink tone nude. So what I've done here is I've added just a little tiny bit of browns and pinks, and the reason I'm doing that is to tonally match, which is why it's kind of pink based instead of orange based. But it's also got a brown component just because I'm trying to warm it up a little bit. So if you've got cooler skin tones, there's a long explanation from where I'm going. If you've got cooler skin tones, this type of look is super pretty with purple on your lips and cheeks, or reds. I can get away with that to a certain degree. I don't know. I actually did that yesterday. I did the purples yesterday and it worked. But if you're super warm toned, be super careful about the purples. And also pinks, especially if you've got kind of that lighter complexion and all that. If you do like lighter pinks on your lips or on your cheeks, that can also be really pretty. But you have to have like cooler undertone for that one, unless it's a really warm pink. But yesterday I was wearing TMI blush by Urban Decay, and then I had on a more purpley lipstick. A couple that would be really fun would be Kat Von D's Wonder Child, which has like a shimmer to it, so you'd want to make sure that everything else in your face other than your eyes didn't have too much shimmer. Or Underworld by Ilamasqua, which are kind of these otherworldly shimmery violets, and that's the purple that I'm going to be going with here. So long way of saying I've done kind of a more matte foundation, more matte powder, just a tiny little bit of shimmer, very light, you know, just so that my face doesn't look flat, but I'm controlling where it's going as opposed with like an illuminating foundation. And then I've basically taken just really subtle lips and cheeks and lips, because that's the look I want today. Yesterday I did one that was more purple, but anyway. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and I do this differently than most people. I bet I'm the only person on YouTube that does this, but that's okay. We're gonna do it anyway. Ooh, one of my eyeshadows is gone. So I actually, when I'm using reds, pinks, purples, a lot of times I can do eyeliners that match, especially with the purples, depending on how much purple. But I tend to do a lot better if I bring in a black to line my upper and lower waterline. And yesterday when I was doing my reds and purples, I did a purple and on the lower waterline. I thought it kind of looked a little, I call it rabbit eyes, kind of red. My daughter finally got that. She was talking to me, she's like, what do you mean rabbit eyes, Mom? Your eyes don't look like a rabbit. Oh, I get it, pink. White rabbits have pink eyes. I'm like, gosh, I finally got it. So what I'm doing is just really quickly putting the black on the upper waterline, and almost everyone is always putting their black on later, but I like it because it kind of sets what I want to do. It's just my way of doing it. And so a couple of pet peeves: make sure that it's applied evenly so that, you know, it looks consistent. And then I also make sure that I get it in the inner part here and on the outer corner. And then also sometimes with the lower lash line in particular, it doesn't blend all the way to your eyeshadow, so you get a little bit of a white line, and that never works. And I'm using the Lancome Kohl eyeliner, and I use this, I don't know, almost every video where I use a black eyeliner, just because I tend to like the softer, smudgier blacks, and this one is softer and smudgier without bleeding too much. It'll smudge a little bit, which is what I want, but it doesn't smudge a lot. So next I have an Inglot. So this is an Inglot palette. This is one that I custom made, and I really love Inglot. I have a bunch of reds, but I've been playing around with reds and pinks and purples for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks now. So this is just one of the many looks. But this is Inglot. I think it's number 50. I pulled it out of the pan, and that's what I think it said. So I'm taking, I don't usually use brushes with numbers, but I thought it was so fancy. I actually have one with a number for a change. This is still a 53. And the reason I don't use brushes with numbers a lot of times is I just have so many brushes, and a lot of them don't have numbers, but I just really like the brushes that I really like, and they tend not to be the ones with numbers. So I am not using an eyeshadow primer because I don't want this look to be too dark. I would recommend that you, because I'm going to be going out and about today, I would recommend that you use an eyeshadow primer anytime you're using super bright colors like this, unless you really want them to fade, because they are going to fade. So you can see how vivid and bright it is. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it just on the lid itself, and a lot of people would use a wider brush to put on a color like this, but I'm always saying, and some people push back, and you know, that's your way of doing it, I like smaller brushes. I really like the control I get. And maybe that makes me a control freak. So right now I'm just putting it right now on the lid itself. You can see it's super bright. If you want these colors to pop a little bit more, I mean, it's so bright, do you want it to pop anymore? You can put it over a white base, like the NYX NYX Milk, the white one, or you can take a black. And NYX now, I call it NYX, I know other people call it NYX. They have a black now, but there are lots of different companies that make those. So I'm going to take the same brush, and I'm going to start working it under here, and you can see it's starting to smudge a little bit with the black, and I like that because I don't like too much red smudging into my under eye without a black barrier. So because there's black on the waterline, and I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way in. I like using thicker brushes and then fading away the extra. The other thing that I started doing recently, which I actually like, is piling on a little bit more and then smudging it away. So you can see it's a lot of red. Then I'm going to take this and just go up a tiny, tiny bit into the crease, and then just even that out. And so we're just taking it up a little bit higher. Now at the end, this is not going to be one of those artsy looks. I think they're gorgeous, but I just can't wear something that bold, which is why I'm not using any kind of a base under it, which would make it last longer. And the problem with a lot of these bolder colors, as I've been wearing them, is that they don't always fade out during the day so well. So you have to watch for that. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm taking Omen from the Urban Decay Spectrum palette. So that's this one right here. So Omen is, I want to swatch. I should probably swatch the other one too. Omen, I've got on my wrist, I've got some red from yesterday that I can't get off. So there you see. It's kind of an otherworldly, slightly pinkish undertone, shimmery lavender. And I was playing with a more boring one yesterday too, but I kind of ended up liking this one. So there we have the two swatch. And so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to take the same brush. And the reason I'm taking the same brush is because I want the colors to blend together. I do not want them separate. Now other people with different looks, it's just a different look. I want them to kind of blend more easily. Some people would want this more defined. So now I'm taking the purple and I'm doing it, I'm going to come in a little. I'm doing it right on the lower brow bone. I'm not actually going into the crease because I don't want it mixing in too far down. So you can see it just right up, touching that brow bone and all the way in. It's just a different look if you go a little bit lower. But I want to keep that red on the lid. See, like that. And you can see it's a subtle color shift. And then I'm blending this into the red underneath. So you're getting kind of a red purple. Okay, so the way I have it right now, I actually don't want to blend these out. I want these colors to be defined the way that they are. But if you want, you can blend them out to make them a lot more subtle. I think my last eyeshadow. We're almost done. So now I'm going to take a white eyeshadow and I'm going to take just a small little brush because again, I want these more defined. You can blend out the edges. A lot of times when I'm seeing people on YouTube blending out the edges, it's because they're putting on a lot more heavy coating of the eyeshadow. And so you're blending out the edges a little bit more. Here I have not piled it on over a base, so it's going to wear a little bit softer. So here I'm taking just a white and I'm putting it up, and this I am blending the edges a little bit, but I'm not blending the edges between the purple and the red so much because those I want defined. And then I'm taking the white and I'm also putting it in the inner corner. Yesterday, so this is the Make Up Forever. They don't make this particular formula anymore. It's a white. This is the old formula, but it's just the plain matte white. Yesterday I did a really pretty vanilla color in the inner crease that had a little bit of shimmer, and that was pretty too, but I want a softer look today because that was adding, a little bit more shimmer. And so then I'm going to take the white, and this is just a short little blending brush, and I'm going to mix it in a little bit here. And then I'm going to take more of our Omen and define that a little bit more. I am not going to define the red under the eye, but I am going to define the red. And so when I'm using the same brush, this is just one of the ways that I like to blend the shades in together. Other people will take just a completely fresh, clean brush, and so I'm putting a little red in the outer corner. Now this is where it can be super fun. If you like things like winged cat eyes and all that, this is where you can do it. I'm just looking for a brush. I look campy and stupid when I do that because my eyes are so big and round. It's not a look that works for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of the basic Make Up Forever black, which is M100, and I'm taking two little tiny brushes, and these aren't wet, but if I wanted a stronger black, I'm actually going to take my teeny, I don't even know where I got this. This was like included with free with purchase, and it's one of my favorite brushes. like this super tiny. And so what I'm doing here is just tightlining it, putting it as close into the lashes as I can. And then also making sure that I get that inner corner. It's kind of one of my pet peeves. Now I'm not going to blend it out. I'm going to leave it as a stronger line, but a lot of times I would blend it out. And then I take, because I don't do these super dark looks, I'll take this and I'll blend it out before I go out and about today. But I like to wear it like this too, at night. Oh, you know what? I'm taking that back. I'm wearing it exactly as it is. I'm not blending it out. I've been doing these bolder colors and I'm really enjoying it, so I'm just going to enjoy it. Now this to me is like a super, the only thing that I have to be really careful about is that I make sure that I get it into the lashes so that you don't get those dreaded white lines. And then I find that I need to define my lower corner. In part it's because I tend to have watery eyes in the outer corner, so my makeup tends to bleed a little bit there. So it has to be really, really carefully defined at the beginning. Okay, so there we have that. And I'm going to do just a really quick fan brush to soften it a little. Now, some people will blend more. That's what I want to do. And that's what I'm actually going to wear. So that is the look. And you can see as I'm looking at it, I can see there are all kinds of possibilities with kind of your lips if you really want to make it a more dramatic look. But I am toning that down. As I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, I wish I picked a brighter lip color. And I think I need a little bit more black definition on the bottom, so we'll do that real quick. I'm using a Marc Jacobs mascara, and already my, needs to be a little blending there, little blending there. That was actually where I was talking about not needing more white to kind of even out the edges. Oops. Dropping all kinds of things. So this is the Marc Jacobs most recent mascara, which I did a video for. And I will put a link to that video in the description to this video. Okay, and then now, like my ADD is kicking in, and there are little tiny things, you know, when you're doing kind of a more artsy, vivid eye look, sometimes you want to make sure that it's perfect. And so I'm going back into the lower waterline and adding a little bit more black. And hoping that I don't blur the mascara everywhere. It's just when I saw, there we go. And let's see if I can come in a little closer. Shut the eyes for a minute. So that is my red and purple eye look. And I'm kind of wishing I'd done a brighter pink lip. Other than that, I like it. Not bright pink, more pink. Thanks for watching, and if you have suggestions for eye looks that you'd like to see or other looks, I'll take my little headband out. Ooh. And I would love to hear it, and I'd love feedback on this because I haven't done that many of these types of videos, but I would love to hear what you think and any suggestions you have, thoughts or comments. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe on YouTube.